Hello everyone, this is Derek Smith. Welcome to Comprehensive Credit Repair and your credit repair tip for today. Now this video is going to be kind of long because in this video I'm going to tell you exactly how to properly dispute negative accounts from your credit report. Let's get started. You can have negative items such as late payments, collections, and charge-offs deleted from your credit report by following these 5 simple, straightforward steps I'm going to give you in these videos. Let's get started with step number 1. Of course, you need to order your credit report from the credit bureaus by mail. To challenge the credit bureau regarding the information posted, you must first order your credit report because you need to reference and work off that report. You cannot work off a credit report you receive from your loan officer or from a different website. You must order from the credit bureaus themselves. This is easy to do, and you are entitled to 1 free report per year from each of the 3 credit bureaus thanks to the law enacted December 4th, 2003 by President Bush. Using the online credit dispute system is like shooting yourself in the foot. Even though it's more convenient, you must not order your report on the internet. Don't make the mistake of doing it the lazy way. Do you think the bureaus set up online disputing for your advantage or for their own advantage? Order by mail, receive by mail, and dispute by mail. If you already made the mistake of getting your credit report online, ignore it. Pretend like it never happened and order correctly by mail. Do not respond to or correspond with credit bureaus via email. Let me tell you why. Here's an important point. Online credit disputing is ineffective. It puts serious limitations on your rights with limited statutes. Most people don't realize that when they proceed with the online system, they've accepted those terms and conditions because who actually reads through it all? By using their website, you waive important consumer rights that you have. If you dispute online, the furnisher doesn't have to tell you how their so-called investigation took place. And if they remove a negative item, they can repost it within a month and there's not a thing you can do about it. It's no wonder why some people claim credit repair doesn't work. They go about it like bumbling amateurs. All the good credit repair companies work their magic through the United States Postal Service. Look at what this one credit attorney said in a report called Automated Injustice. It was said the online forums only help the bureaus steer your issue into one of their dispute buckets, helping the agency automate your claim. It also means you have less of a paper trail to demonstrate negligence later on. Let me explain it further. The Electronic Online System for Correct and Accurate Reporting, also called eOSCR, was created by the big credit bureaus for their own purposes to speed up the process for themselves and to quickly eliminate as many dispute requests as they can. It was not designed for the best interest of the consumers, so make a note of that. Each time you submit a dispute online, their eOSCR system translates your request into a 2 or 3 digit code. Thus, you become nothing more than a number. The code may or may not accurately reflect your situation. There is no humanity involved. There is no common sense involved. You get turned into one of 4 or 5 reason codes. Sometimes there might not even be an accurate code for your situation. And in that case, you get put into a so-called similar code, which could automatically shoot your efforts right out of consideration. What's more, if your dispute gets coded wrong, the likelihood of you being able to get it changed is extremely low. When you try to change it, they think you're on a fishing expedition, trying to scam the system, which results in an automatic rejection letter. It's no wonder why some people think credit repair doesn't work. They go about it like an amateur, not like pros like myself. But wait, there's more. When you file online, you don't have the ability to attach documentation that proves your case. This leaves you vulnerable to eOSCR labeling your dispute as frivolous and irrelevant. That is the last thing you want to happen because it prejudices the system against you. Furthermore, if you don't use the good old-fashioned United States Postal Office mail, you waive your legal right to receive written results of the credit bureau's investigation. The bureaus are not required by law to send you any written results of investigating your dispute when you file electronically. Therefore, you give up a big advantage and you cannot afford to do that. Online, you also waive your right to sue the credit bureau for mishandling your credit. You don't want to give up that leverage or the threat of using that leverage at least. Using eOSCR does not save you time if it doesn't get you the result that you want. The next time you hear a speaker or see an article that says to use the online system at the credit bureau websites, roll your eyes and ignore them because they are not true experts on credit repair like I am. Similarly, if you hear a story about how it worked for someone, it doesn't mean you should take the risk yourself. It's better to stack the odds in your favor not to risk it because someone else got lucky. Let me give you another important note here. Never order your credit report from a website advertising free credit scores because you will not have the correct report for communicating with the bureaus, as I said earlier. Moreover, the scores you receive are not necessarily accurate, as I also told you. Many scores from third-party websites give out scores that are artificially high by 20 to 70 points, which sets you up for a disappointment later. They are not using the same scores used by the mortgage industry and the auto industry. There are many websites that look official, but they are set up by individuals looking to make a buck off of you. Many of these websites set you up with a so-called credit monitoring service, and then they charge you a monthly fee. It is my professional opinion that most of these are a waste of money, so I really don't endorse many of them. Do you really want to pay some guy working in his pajamas from his basement who set up a site that looks deceptively like the government or like a credit agency? Be aware that the score available for purchase from the credit bureau website, annualcreditreport.com, is not the same score you get when you apply for a mortgage to buy a house or to buy a car. This is because they're using a more lenient mathematical algorithm. It is an equation used for credit card approval rather than for a mortgage approval. Naturally, there are stricter requirements to borrow several $100,000 than for getting a little plastic card to shop with. Therefore, I do not recommend buying the Consumer Credit Report. That said, if you want to get your scores from a free site so that you can monitor the upward progress of your score as you work on your credit, that is acceptable and just fine to do. I use Identity IQ, and there's several other ones out there that are pretty good. As I said, you use them while you're fixing your credit, and then you can always cancel after that. Let's talk about how to order your credit report successfully the first time. On my website, you are able to download letters for everything that I talk about in this video. They're at comprehensivecreditrepairer.com/letters, or you can get them in the file section from my Facebook group, which is also here on the slide. For step number 1, you want to use the request your credit report by mail letter. When you send in your letter, it's best to include a copy of a photo ID and a document that verifies your name and address. Even though it might seem like a hassle, ID is used to prevent fraud and identity theft. One of the excuses credit bureaus use to stall on fixing your credit is to say you did not provide proper identification, so don't let them use that on you. Another one of the excuses is we can't read the address on your driver's license, so get a large clear copy of your ID. You should not order your credit report by phone. It would be too easy for someone to impersonate you, and then they will receive all your personal information. And remember, you must first order your current report dated within the last 12 months before you can dispute it. When sending your letter, use a standard number 10 business envelope and a first class stamp. Your request will be processed within 15 days from the time they receive your letter. Let's move to step number 2, dispute the negative item with the credit bureaus. Be careful to dispute your negative item only with the credit bureaus that recorded it. For example, if your late payment with Visa shows up only on Equifax, then dispute it only with Equifax. You certainly don't want to stir up trouble with Experian and TransUnion where there is none. Remember, not all companies report to all 3 credit bureaus. The easiest way to do this is to use the credit investigation form, which are also included with the documents you can download on my site, so you don't have to recreate it. By law, the credit bureaus must consider your request to investigate. If they cannot verify that the negative item is true, accurate, and complete, then they must delete it. The law is on your side. You are innocent unless proven guilty. The burden of proof is on them. The credit bureau must respond to your request to investigate within 30 days plus mail time. However, right now with the coronavirus, they're given more time, up to 45 days. Either they will delete the negative entry from your credit report, or they will claim it has been verified as accurate. If they delete it, you're happy. If they claim it has been verified, you go on to the next step. This is perfectly normal, so don't get bummed out and quit at this point. Use the address on the credit report you received by mail for sending in the credit investigation request form that I provided you. Many people have great success with this form over the years. They have had old collections deleted, raised their scores, and the next thing I knew, they were calling me with the great news that they were buying a brand new home or a brand new car. Step 3, dispute the negative item with the company. If the negative item you disputed came back verified, it doesn't mean they really verified it. See my video titled "What the Credit Bureaus Don't Want You to Know" for the inside scoop. For now, just know that your next step is to send a strong yet professional letter to the company, the credit card provider, the auto finance company, whoever that might be. The burden of proof again is on the company who is reporting the negative information. So they need to haul out their records from the archives and prove you're late or failed to make payment. If they do not do this, you are entitled to have the late payment deleted from your report. If they have the date wrong or your account number wrong, then the information is not accurate and you have the right to request that it be deleted. Once they receive your letter, they must spring into action and respond within 30 to 45 days. It is illegal for them to ignore your letter, toss it aside, or forget about it. Accordingly, you should send the dispute letter by certified mail. That way they cannot claim it never arrived because someone has to sign for it, and then the tag on the envelope comes back to you, so you have legal proof just in case you need it. I'll talk more about that step later. I suggest starting with one of the letter templates I prepared for you and then edit it as needed. This makes it super easy for you because you fill in your personal information using the template that I provide and you print it out. You don't have to compose something out of thin air or type it all from scratch. There's no sense reinventing the wheel when these letters have already been proven to work. These letters are similar to the very same letters used by attorneys and other credit restoration services. Everyone uses a variation of the same basic letter. It challenges the information, it cites the law, and it demands correction. Let me give you a warning here. Don't make the fatal mistake of giving too much information. When a person calls the creditor or writes out the long story of what happened and why, they are sabotaging their success. Listen, no one at the creditor's office cares about you personally. Don't write about your trials and tribulations. Don't tell about your doctor visits. Don't mention your children. And don't call the salespeople at the auto shop scumbags or other names. Just use the basic template, modifying it as needed. You might ask if you can personalize it. The answer is yes, as long as you do not admit fault or guilt. Do not say, I made a mistake, or I didn't know better at the time, or my bookkeeper messed up, or I was tricked and deceived. If you do, you are cementing the bad mark into your credit report and will not be able to get it deleted for a very, very long time. This is why I'm reluctant to take on a client who's already been communicating in this way with the credit bureaus. On the other hand, if you personalize the letter properly, you can help your cause. However, if you're unsure, then simply use the template letter I gave you, filling in your name, your address, and your account number, etc. After you complete this step, the creditor will either agree to delete the negative item or not. Either way, you're going to receive notice. At this point, many creditors will agree to deleting the negative item simply because they don't want to go through the hassle of digging up old records for proper verification. Time is money to them. Other times, they will agree to delete the negative item because they want to keep you as a customer and they figure they will come out ahead financially by making you happy so that you keep spending money at their store. This is good business sense and it is within their legal right to do so. Unfortunately, some stubborn company employees will come back saying the negative item was true, correct, and it remains on your report. Don't despair if this happens. It happens every day in the attorney and the credit repair company offices, and they don't despair or give up. They simply move on to step number 4, and that is what we're going to do right now also. Step 4 is demand written proof called debt validation. Let me give you an important point here. Debt validation only applies to debt collectors, the collection companies that buy debts from the original creditor, or the in-house collection division of the company. The original creditor is not required to provide you with complete debt validation. The original creditor must provide you with a copy of the original agreement between the parties, such as the loan note or the credit card agreement, preferably signed by you. If they don't want to extend courteous customer service and agree to delete a past mistake so that you can get on with your life, then you have the legal right to demand a debt validation. This step is going to be inconvenient for them, which is good for you. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or FDCPA, is a law that gives you the right to receive the following 5 documents. Number 1 is an explanation of what the alleged debt is for. This is so you receive assurance that the so-called debt really does belong to you. Number 2 is a complete payment history of the account that includes the calculations showing how they arrived at the balance. This is so you have proof that the amount they claim is owed is the correct amount. Number 3 is a copy of the agreement or signed credit application that shows you agreed to pay this debt. This is so you have proof it belongs to you as opposed to someone else with the same name or perhaps someone who forged your signature. Number 4 is a copy of the agreement that grants the collection agency authority to collect on the aged debt. This applies if the debt has been sold to a third-party agency, which they do have the right to do so. And number 5 is a copy of the creditor's state license, including their license number. This is so you know they're a valid company and not some scammer overseas who's trying to get your money illegally. And make a note of this for later. If you request debt validation and the company sends you back only part of the information requested, that is not a proper debt validation. Now you have the right to send a letter to the credit bureau demanding that they remove the account because proper validation was not received. Use number 11 in my packet to do this. Also good to know is that if the collector fails to provide proper debt validation but continues to go after you for payment, you have the right to sue in a federal or state court. You may be rewarded $1,000 or possibly more if your state allows per lawsuit. However, some courts have said that if the collector provided you with 1, a description of the amount owed, and 2, the name and address of the original creditor, that was sufficient as far as that court was concerned. Not all judges are the same in their interpretation of debt validation. I've included a sample letter you can use for requesting debt validation again in the letters package. You will see that the letter also says, stop contacting me about this or any other matter you have except to provide me with accurate verification of this debt by U.S. mail only. When you say this, they must stop calling you on the phone and communicate only via mail. This will cut down on the harassment and stress you have to endure. Be sure to open all your mail and pay attention to it. Letting letters pile up unopened can end up putting you in a serious legal trouble and cost you even more money in the end. Let me give you another important point here. If a creditor fails to provide you with proper debt validation, they cannot report it or continue to report it to the credit bureaus. They are not allowed to collect money from you. They are not allowed to call or contact you about the debt. If they report a false, unverifiable debt to the credit bureaus, it is a violation of the FACTA Act. FACTA. This law states that you can sue for up to $1,000 in damages for each violation. You may sue in small claims court without the expense of an attorney, or you may sue in a state or federal court if the amount is too large for small claims court. In Houston, Texas, a collection company by the name of United Recovery Systems Incorporated rushed to settle a lawsuit before it had changed to go to court. Naturally, they didn't admit guilt, but they agreed to pay $240,000, which I think says a lot in itself. Not only was United Recovery Systems Incorporated sued for failing to provide debt validation, but they were also sued for the unkind and threatening things said to people when they called them. So their nastiness caught up with them. You can locate the article on the ftc.gov website by doing a Google search of United Recovery Systems and then add $240,000. By the way, do not let a collector verbally abuse or harass you. Doing so is illegal and you have the law on your side. On the flip side, don't you yell or cuss at them either. Keep your communication business-like and don't get personal. Remember, you're going to handle your credit repair like a pro, not like an amateur. So let's move to this final step, step 5, which is follow up with the credit bureaus. If the creditor fails to properly verify and validate your debt, use the letter I provided for you called following up with the credit bureau after the creditor failed to provide you with proper validation. And take care to send only to the bureaus, again, that report this specific debt. According to the law, the bureau must delete the debt that has not been validated. When this happens, your credit score will immediately go up. Depending on what the rest of your credit report looks like, your score might increase by 40 to 60 or even more points when this happens. Alright folks, using those 5 steps I've given you will help you to properly dispute negative accounts on your report. But listen to this, fixing credit is difficult and I'm a pro at it and I can do it for you. So if you don't have the time or the desire to fix these kind of problems yourself, reach out to me at www.comprehensivecreditrepair.com and I'll do them for you. And oh, by the way, when you use my service, you get a free luxury vacation to one of 51 locations that's available for you. All right, folks, if you're getting value from these videos, go ahead and subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any. And also go check out some of the other videos I have for you. And by the way, don't forget to download the letters you need at the link down below. And happy disputing. I'll see you in the next video.